All right. Awesome. So for our last segment, we are bringing back 4-minute warning, which actually that's not the name. So we got some suggestions.
Nope, you called it that.
Nope. I had to set context. So Tim, you weren't here for this, but we have a question segment where we do each question. We have 4 minutes to attack that question. At the end of 4 minutes, gong, and move on. All right, regardless of whatever. This was inspired by some really great people over at 1UP, and we want to keep it alive, but we asked to give it a new name just because we don't want to.
He had to give it an extra.
It's a separate legacy. It's a different thing.
1UP there?
Why not? So, quick shout out to everyone who sent in suggestions. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to read some of the finalists. So one of them, and I tweaked this one.
You have 4 minutes.
No, I didn't. So no, this is the name. So these are suggestions by the community for the name. One of them was 6 and 4, and this came from Chris Miller. I kind of tweaked it to call it IGN 6 and 4, but it was more like IGN 64. Like that kind of.
That took me a second to get.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. You kind of turned your head for a second.
I'm not a math man.
So I'm going to work my way up to the top. The winner will be the last one I read. So another one was called 444, 4 minutes, 4 persons, 4 questions. And that came from Nintendo90 Eric J. If you know what 999 is, you got the joke. If you didn't,
a deep cut.
Yeah, if
it's a
not,
visual novel. Deep
I saw
cut.
a questioned look from Tim and from Brian. Okay, you know what
again,
that is.
not a math man, so that's a lot of that getting thrown around in here today.
So a bunch of people recommended the next name. They called it Elite Four, and I just put two names down. But I'm sure if I got it wrong, sorry if I didn't get your name. So Fox Left Ear left it as a comment on IGN, and Victor Cologne sent it in as an email.
Victor Cologne. Oh my god!
Oh my god! I would sleep with
Watch
him.
out, Jimmy Champagne. Victor Cologne's coming to kick your ass. That is an awesome tag team duo right there.
So the winner and the name that
I want to suggest one.
Oh,
I didn't get to put my vote into this.
Okay, what is it?
The winner is Tim.
I want the name of the show to be the sound effect of the segment, to be the sound effect from Sonic when he's drowning.
Oh,
that should just be the name.
That's a long sentence. I don't know how that works.
Hey guys, it's time for
exactly.
Everyone's favorite Nintendo podcast has a segment named after a Sega Genesis noise.
There you go. Okay, fine. So if that one doesn't win, then what is the win?
I like to lead 4 a lot.
The winner is the question block, and that recommendation comes from Beyond the Stars _SCR. Thank you very much. I think that was emailed in. That's what we're going to call a segment from now on.
Color me impressed.
Yeah.
Because all those other ones, I was like, okay.
Sometimes the brightest stars in the sky are right under your nose.
Oh, man.
There you go.
Bam.
So
we talk about cocaine?
No.
All right.
Question block?
So, on the question block, first question comes from Jonathan Speedy Claxton. And he said, the Zelda series is one of my favorite video game franchises. A Link Between Worlds is amazing, particularly in that it allows me to revisit a world we've seen before, or allows us to do that. With that in mind, what are your thoughts on direct Zelda sequels? Where in the timeline would you prefer the next Zelda game to take place?
I love direct sequels. I love them so much.
Really?
Love it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're like making a weird noise.
Oh, yeah.
You're all hunched over.
Give me them direct sequels.
I love that idea. It's just like it's
Why?
Because that is not messing around. It is giving me more of what I want, and that's not them needing to play any games around that. It's just, nope, here's what you want. You're getting more of it. And that allows them to then be more creative, like Majora's Mask, which was a sequel.
Yep.
Right.
Direct sequel that tried and did a lot of different things with the Zelda brand. I will say this, though. I think that direct sequels, my opinion on them is I don't like them. I feel like Zelda gets away with having just brief references to different games, but it doesn't really always have the direct line. And I think that just gives it a lot of freedom to be whatever it kind of wants to be, even though and a lot of times it ends up in the same place. It ends up still the same style of adventure with the same type of characters. But I do think that when you have a direct sequel, there's just the expectation that they have to connect. And one of my biggest beefs with A Link Between Worlds was that I felt like it was still very loose connections, very tenuous connections, nothing that felt concrete or solid outside of a map. But that's my take.
Sure. No, I'm with you on that. I actually completely agree with you. But that being said, I did love A Link Between Worlds, even though it did feel sort of like a sequel and also like a remake,
that's right.
Like a film being done by a completely different director who's just like, this is loosely based on the original. That's why I really liked it. I do like revisiting past experiences when it comes to Zelda stuff, but I also do like the fact that Zelda has this ability of them coming in being like new art style, new mechanic, new gimmick, new Link. Doesn't matter. Like there's not all this baggage. We can just kind of be like, here he is now. The whole world's covered in water, and you have a dragon boat. Have fun. Yep. Here he is now. Everything's a watercolor painting, and you've got a sky bird.
I would also argue that the timeline is one of the worst things that happened to Zelda because then that became the thing everyone argued about.
Yeah.
Sure.
Every time
Yeah.
something happens, where does this happen on the timeline
Yeah.
becomes the central question and not just, hey, this is a good Zelda.
Yeah, because I never played any of the Zelda games growing up really thinking of them as sequels or within continuity of each other.
Sure.
The second I saw that timeline, it kind of screwed me up a little bit.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, wait, like Legend of Zelda 1 was not actually the first Zelda game. Like, what is it? It's Ocarina of Time is the first one? Who cares?
According to the
Skyward
timeline,
Sword.
it's Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword's the first Zelda game ever made, right? Like, that doesn't make
First
any...
and the worst.
Yeah, doesn't make any
Nailed it.
sense to me.
See,
Jose just got worried.
I want to talk about that a little bit, but we're going to get to that. Someone
Okay.
asked a question related to Skyward Sword. Go.
So yeah, I'm with you, Jose. Like, I don't need a direct sequel. That being said, Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda.
It
which
is,
weird.
and it is good for that
Yeah,
reason.
which is-
So there is truth to
which
what you're
is weird.
saying, Tim. Totally.
But I like sequels that, like, I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls 2, and I like the fact that Dark Souls 2 its links to the first Dark Souls are buried so deep in the game that you could completely miss them. Like, it's almost, you have to put pieces together and be like, oh, this character might be related to this character or whatever. That being said, if you had to make a sequel to an actual Zelda game, I might just go with Zelda 1. Like, it'd be kind of cool if they made a super Spartan, lonely Zelda game like that.
Sure,
Another one.
that
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I
that's
really
good.
love that. But
Yeah.
again, that doesn't feel like it picks up right where the last one left off, right? It's just sort of like redoing that theme
Yeah.
again, which I think Zelda can get away with, and that's why it doesn't need to be tied to Zelda 1,
Yeah.
aside from thematically. Like,
Yeah.
story-wise, it doesn't need
And
to
also,
be at all.
I always figured that Zelda was just this, like, as a kid, I was always like, oh, this is the retelling of the same myth. Like,
Right.
it's a story, but as everyone retells it, they put their own slant on it. So, oh, this time there was water everywhere, and this time
Well,
there's
that's
a
the thing.
dumb bird.
Most Zelda games end with you killing Ganon.
Yeah.
So it's like when we left our your hero or whatever, he blah blah blah, and it's like, all right, do it again now. 10 minutes later, like,
Yeah.
He said to-
makes it difficult. I could say. It's boobies.
Yeah, Pear on this podcast has brought up a couple times that he wants a game after Wind Waker, something where
This feels like it was
the
way
seas
more
have
than
come
4
down.
minutes, by the way.
No, it's on
We're still in time?
We're okay, yeah.
Man, okay.
It just ended. There we go.
Wow.
There you go.
Man.
Well, I'm
All right.
I'm a not nice guy.
Yeah, it's okay. You're a producer.
Whoa!